everyone. Welcome to today's talk. Today we're going to be talking about customer experience-driven digital banking. We're talking about personalization and hyper-personalization in this new world of digital banking. Here's a very recent survey by the Capgemini Financial Services Analysis, and in this survey, they actually looked at how important is channels of interaction to consumers. And if you really look at it, 80% of customers actually have said that they demand an omni-channel experience across internet banking, self-service kiosks, whether it's branch banking or mobile banking. Customers are wanting an omni-channel experience. But the reality also is, and they also kind of ask the question to consumers about what is the level of friction that users are facing today when they are interacting with their banks. And the numbers are quite astonishing, right? You can actually see that more than 44% of customers are facing medium to high levels of friction. So actually, if you really look at it, while customers are demanding an omni-channel experience, even for basic stuff like account opening, basic problem resolutions, changing, updating information, making payments, they are still facing issues and frictions with their entire experience. So in reality, what customers want and what they're really getting from their banking partners, there is a huge gap. And in fact, the survey also asked a very important question, right? They actually asked that how many of these banks are periodically capturing their customer insights or voice of customer. And you'll be actually astonished to look at some of the numbers that we see here on the screen today. So 70% of the banks do not think that they need more consulting expertise to understand customer dynamics, because banks do feel that they have all the possible customer data. They know a lot more about customers. About 61% of them actually lack a formal CX teams. So there are, for most of these banks, the focus on having a separate CX team to focus on making sure that they are doing better on their overall customer experience is still lacking. Overall, if we look at it, banks are kind of struggling, and that's enough data now on the screen that you can look at whether they are being able to map customer journeys or their inability to even capture the customers feedback from time to time. And I think if we just take a minute here and start thinking about our own experience with our banks, since we all, I'm sure, are banking with either one or two or three different banks. Do banks really capture some of this from us? Do they really capture so much of data from us? And are they really doing well in terms of their overall customer experience? So hard-hitting questions, but something for us to all of us to really think about. So what are some of the challenges that we're seeing today with most of the banks? So if I had to kind of summarize this in four top challenges that we're today seeing with most of the banking partners that we are working with, cross-selling. So cross-selling is becoming a very big challenge. How do I bring in more relevant products to the customers basis their requirement? How do I become more relevant to a customer? In my offering, what's the channel that I'm going to use to offer that is going to be very, very important. What's my timing to cross-sell is very, very important. So I think cross-selling per se is extremely important. How do I get more of the wallet share of an existing customer is very, very critical for banks. And again, today we see banks, while they're doing great work around this area, but there are also areas where they're still struggling, and I'm sure that they want to do a lot more. There is a rising expectation from consumers. So today, what we're seeing is that as banking customers, we are a lot more tech savvy. We are more smarter. We are more informed, right? We're no longer dependent on our branch banking guys to come back and give us data, give us information. There is a lot of data. There is a lot of information available, for everyone to access before they actually are wanting to even talk to your banks or wanting to even engage for a conversation. So overall, there's a rise in the way consumers are expecting data or information to come in from banks, the kind of conveniences that they're expecting to come in from banks, because the customer is a lot more educated now. And the third piece I think that we are all witnessing is that while banks have been still struggling in some ways to provide a great web and an app experience to their users, I think this onset of what we're seeing with all the large fintech companies now, I think they are really challenging, or they're becoming as big challenges to some of these banks with their entire digital stacks, their overall experiences that they're building for users. The way they make it very, very easy and seamless is something that banks are now finding a challenge. Lastly, we all know, right? Banks have also been dabbling with their legacy interfaces, legacy systems maybe not talking to each other. While of course, I'm sure we've come a long way with where we used to be, but I still feel that there is a lot of dependence even today, on different technology teams, on different teams to kind of get things working within the banking environment. So what we are seeing today is that these are top four challenges that banks are really being faced with, and how do we kind of really work with them and help them kind of do better in each of these areas. Here's a quick view to journey of a digital banking user, and this is how a user is really behaving today, right? The entire experience is either through self-serve platforms or through assisted servicing, where users are actually able to get real-time information, more personalized information, personalized offerings, and hence they are getting into the entire buying journey. So look, if you look at the different touch points for automation in the banking domain today. So when I look at acquiring new customers, what are some of the touch points that we really want to focus on, right? Lead nurturing is one very important touch point. While consumers are expressing interest, they are wanting to buy products, but how well are we actually building our nurturing programs? How automated are these programs? How contextually relevant are these programs? How well are we doing our drop lead recycling? If a lead is bouncing off, if a user is bouncing off, how well am I going back and recycling that entire lead? What's my time to go back to a customer? Am I making sure that my targeting to these customers is through a lot more relevant products and relevant services, or is it still done in a very, very rudimentary way? Moving on from acquisition, how do I start engaging a lot better with my users, right? What are those specific things that I want to do which are more real time, more contextual, and overall with the intention of actually helping the user or assisting the user to actually being able to do more, right, beyond just trying to be pushy with our products and services. So I think those are some very, very critical things that we want to think about when we're actually looking at either acquiring new users to bank or engaging with the existing banking customers. Here's a quick case study of how we actually help IndusInd as one of the leading banks in India, help achieve about 75% mobile activation for their credit card users, for the new credit card users. So when we actually started engaging with the bank, we realized that there was an absence of an automated approach. There was very heavy reliance on doing manual targeting, for these new users, and by the time you could get the data on how the users have behaved or what has been their engagements, it takes a lot of time. So the idea was that how do we start sending more relevant communication, and how do we handle the user in his initial first 75 days of receiving the card, because that's going to be the most crucial point of time when you want to get the user activated. You want, while he's got the card, you want him to start doing more things with you. You want him to download your mobile banking app. You want him to start logging into your into your account. You want him to start transacting, right? Because end of the day is the burn that's really going to create the earn for the bank. So those were some of the challenges that we were looking at, and we said, how is that we can really help the bank? So what did we really do here? We actually worked very closely with their teams. We actually put out a complete a CLCM cycle for these new users or new to bank customers who had just got their new credit cards activated, and we actually also looked at the source of these users and how they've kind of come to the bank. So there was a lot of data-driven segmentation that was done, to segment the users and then decide on the relevant contextual campaigning that we really wanted to do on these users. And also the time of the timeline that we had put in place, and at what intervals do I really want to nudge a user? How do I really want to handle them? How do I really want them to get on to start downloading the mobile app and then going and activating the app? So those were things that we were able to do with the bank using a very automated cross-channel journey platform, which actually helped them automate a lot of these campaigns. Data came in real time. We were able to take real-time actions in sending out or reaching out to customers. And we had some phenomenal results, of course, where we had, we had a very huge, incremental numbers to talk about. When it comes to the overall engagement in the first 75 days of the new users. Overall, if I were to look at it today, for banks, creating experience is going to is becoming a lot more important, right? And I think we've been talking about this, and we've looked at what are some of the challenges that or problems that have been highlighted by some of these surveys and the reports that are coming in. I think what's really going to be important is that today, am I able to build that one unified view of my user? Right? Do I have their financial history? Do I have their purchase patterns? Do I have their preferences? So do I know a lot more about my user? While I know banks have a lot of data about us, right? And I think that more than any other partner or brands that we use today, banks have most of our financial information. But the question is that, are you able to stitch that whole thing together? Are you able to build that one view of a user, of his behavior, plus his purchase patterns, plus his financial data? Are you able to bring all of that in and then make more sense out of it? And the whole idea is that once you kind of have that whole unified view in, are you then able to going to be using that to create more better experiences for your users and across channels, right? So that's where the whole relevance of CX comes in. How are you going to prioritize your entire UI UX? How are you going to guide users contextually on your other assets, on the platforms that you're building for these users? Something very interesting would be that today, while you're trying to reach out to users, you're trying to give them all the relevant contextual experiences. You want to give them the most relevant hyper personalized offers, products. But the idea is that once the users are on your platform, are you able to give them, or are you able to guide them on what is the best journey that they should be taking on your platform? What you see on the slide right now is a great example of someone who needs to be nudged with specific offers, that's more relevant for her, right? Because as a bank, we know her credit card spends. So if JC is someone who I know spends 75% of her credit card bills are based because of her F&B expenses. When she actually comes on to the bank's mobile app, can she have more relevant offers? Can I have very subtle nudges guiding her to look at what are the latest offers that we have for her? Of course, the offers are going to be very relevant and personalized to her. But does she, when she comes onto the app today, is able to click on that? Are we able to nudge her to drive into that direction? Another sort of example of a young employee, who wants to, who I think, and as a bank, we know, they're salaried individuals getting an X salary per month, but are we able to nudge them to move towards a systematic investment plan? And then these are some very, very relevant walkthroughs that we think brands can create today on their app, on their web, to guide users through a journey that they really want them to focus on. And if you really look at it, right, today a lot of us use mobile banking apps. But the question is, how much of it do we really sit and explore, or how much of it are we really looking at, that the app is really able to offer us? So I think it's very, very important that while we get onto mobile banking apps and there is great adoption, but the idea is that is the adoption only skewed to the user coming and saying, look, I'm on the app for a certain reason, I want to do a transaction, I want to bounce off. But is it that something that the bank can really do to nudge the user at the right time in a very right way to guide him to a certain direction? The whole idea is that today banks can actually do a lot more in terms of wanting to nudge users to drive a certain behavior, and I think that's what we've been talking about, right? There's another example where there is a customer who kind of has a history of paying his credit card bills a little later than the due date. Right now, of course, while it's good for the banks to that when consumers pay their bills beyond the deadline, but the idea is that, can I knowing his certain behavior or history, start nudging a user to bring in that, look, you could avoid paying a late fee if you pay on time. And can that be a more sort of in the face sort of a nudge for the user when he comes in onto the app? Of course, all of this can be done to a segmented base in a very, very subtle way, making sure that you're not interfering with the entire experience of the user, or digressing him into a different direction. So those are things that we think are very, very important. I think can be really looked at from an overall experience standpoint. And how can Netcore really assess this today? So where is the Netcore Edge today, and what are we really doing with most of these partners today? We have a no-code platform, and I think that's the way to go, because typically for marketeers to in a banking environment, to be able to launch some of these very contextual, relevant interventions onto their app or their web would need them to go back to their engineering teams, to their technology teams, and that's actually very, very time consuming. But what with Netcore, what you could really do is you could actually launch some of these nudges or walkthroughs onto your app or web in less than 15 minutes. And you do not, and like we said, this is no code, so this doesn't even need app releases to happen. And as a marketer, if you decide that you want to bring in any specific contextual nudge at any point of time in your app, you're able to deploy that in 15 minutes. So the implementation is on fly. There is a lot more agility that comes in within the teams. There is lack of dependence. There's absolutely no dependence on your technology teams or engineering teams. And when you say no code, we mean no code. So here's a quick view to the entire stack that Netcore today, the Netcore Cloud today offers. We spoke about the product experience, the building the whole contextual nudges piece. We actually help brands also personalize their entire web and app experience, to helping users to kind of bringing them the best products, the most relevant products onto them. The customer engagement platform that kind of helps you do cross-channel, omni-channel journeys, segmentation of users, layered with analytics, where we give you a very in-depth view of how users are behaving, build out unified view of a user. And all of this is being powered by Raman, which is our AI ML engine, which is actually helping do more relevant recommendations, for your users. We, of course, have our own CDP platform that helps us power all of this, putting all the data points together into one CDP platform. And of course, we have APIs that connects to, or connectors that are built, which can connect to segmentation platform, attribution platforms, or CRMs or LMSs, that whatever have you. So this is a quick view to the entire Netcore Cloud stack. I think just to kind of also bring it up, we've been nominated as the best rated platform among the top players in the recent Gartner 2021 Peer Insights survey for customers' choice for multi-channel marketing hubs, and we've been at the top 2 for willingness to recommend, by our own customers. So this is great validation, and keeps pushing us to do better on what we're trying to build. So thank you so much. I think it was a great chat. Really looking forward to, if there are any more inputs or thoughts, happy to take that up. Thank you.